video. This next topic of a video, I've really never heard anybody discuss this before. One of those things that probably people don't think about a lot, but I do sometimes because of having two daughters, and one is now about to get her license, the other just had her license 3 years ago, and so I've been kind of, I guess the word, kind of presented with the continual fact that I'm not going to get my license anytime soon, and there's things like the automated car that basically drives itself, and they're experience that. I'm really looking forward to that. That'd be interesting. But for right now, I don't have a car and I walk. If you're a frequent viewer of my videos, I began riding a bike. But I don't have my license. So when I go somewhere, I need an ID. It's one of the things I feel kind of strange. When I was in college, I had this experience getting into a bar, and I think it was early in the development of the idea from the state I was from, and so I guess the guy at the door, the bouncer, this college bar, so it's more like the guy at the door. Sometimes I get my ID and really question it. And one time I had one instance where he wasn't going to let me in. I said, look, I'm legally blind. I do not have a driver's license. This is what I use to prove who I am. I said, if you're unaware of this, go get the bartender. They will tell you the same thing. So he was like, oh, I don't know what this is. So, obviously he was, he had his license, so he never thought about what people did and when they don't have a license, and they still need to prove who they are. So he, to make a long story as short as I can, he got the bartender, and the bartender said, yeah, this is an ID, it's legal, let him in. And so, ever since then, I kind of felt kind of weird. Sometimes I have to show it, just every once in a while. It's gotten a little better with age. It still pops up, but it brings up that example of a lot of people, the majority of people, let's say, who do not have a license. Maybe it's not true, but I tend to think the majority of people at restaurants or bars they run into who don't have a license had their license lost because of a driving while impaired violation. And so whenever I do pull my ID out, and I still get carded because there's a grocery store chain that still has this policy that they card everybody. So I go in there and ask for my ID, and I think, okay, I try to go to a place that knows me just because it makes me feel better, okay? So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But, I laugh and say, I'm over 21. Now I can multiply it now, 21 times more than 2. And so, here's my ID. But it is still a sensitive subject because, I guess you can argue about the morals and drinking and driving and whether it's a good idea. Legally, it's not. So, I don't want to be viewed as a person who lost their license because of their having driven while drinking. I mean, that's just not something I want. So, a lot of times I just kind of work it in. Hey, got my ID. I'm legally blind, so I don't have a license. You know, whether they pay attention or care, I don't know. But anyway, it makes me feel a little better. You know, probably shouldn't have that concern. Soon to be 48, and I guess I really don't care a lot about what most people think of me anymore. That's the benefit for those of you who are a lot younger. As you get older, I think you tend to care very little what people think of you. I'm much more, and I've always been that way, but it's gotten even more since I've become older. But those of you who aren't able to get your license and have an ID, you know, and have had similar experiences with it, you know, I welcome your comments. I was sitting at a bar one time with chatting with somebody I really didn't know. And I think the conversation went something like this: "Hey buddy, what's wrong with your eyes? Are you really wasted?" And it had to do only a few times that I really wasn't when I was at a bar. I said, "No, I'm legally blind and I don't see very well." And they said, "Well, you aren't blind?" I said, "No, I can see, I can walk, I can, you know, without a cane, or I won't bump into things, but I just don't see well enough to drive." And this guy was like trying to argue with me. He said, "Hey, you're not blind, buddy. You can see." So even when I tell people, you know, especially when I was younger, that I, you know, legally blind, and people didn't even believe me. But even whether they believe me or not, I still have to work with what's real, right? That's true. So, like I said, those of you who are disabled enough that you're unable to get your license, I'd like to hear from you and hear what your comments are. And if you have any other questions for me in relation to this issue, I would be glad to answer it, if at all possible. So, I welcome your comments, feedback, subscriptions, and I guess I'll just let you go. And as always, I'm blind and walking too. And you keep walking, and I will too. Thank you.